Did we overachieve last season? Probably. We didn't add any trophies to our Glory Hunter cabinet though. But with a lack of any job prospects going around, we are going to stay put at Leverkusen for now. Hopefully at some point we can stop Bayern Munich from winning 20 league titles in a row. But with finances like this, it certainly isn't going to help. In other news, PSG won the Champions League, capping off their treble. Monaco thought by trying to sign Nelson Viper, it might help them put up more of a fight. But I have no intention of selling the big German striker. I was, however, going to offer out 10 fringe players I have no plans for. And my scouts found me a very good left back / CDM. And I pursued that signing for Rayo Vallecano, eventually picking him up for 27.5 million. Reports were telling me about the fantastic progression Obradovic was having, and I agree, he is looking fantastic. But with our tactic the way it is, having 3 centre-backs, I still really feel like we could do with one extra quality centre-back for squad rotation. I tried to pursue this defender from Frankfurt, but the deal fell through. And then I was made aware of one of my favourite players having interest in signing for us. From the European champions as well, I instantly put a bid in. And oh boy was I excited to confirm the signing of Lisandro Martinez. Going into the first weekend of fixtures for the new season, we had spent £56 million on 2 defenders, but sold a massive £48 million as well. And I was still rejecting more bids for Nelson Viper. Our lineup for the DFB Pokal first round was a strong one too, including Liche in that wide centre-back role. And as expected, we did win rather comfortably, but it was the performance I was paying attention to, and we did really well, having another 27 shots throughout the match. We started the league campaign with Nelson Viper scoring a penalty against Cologne, and it was only the 12th minute when Florian Wirtz found him again to slot in off the post. Wirtz managed to get 2 assists, and Viper with the hat-trick before Cologne got their only goal just before half-time. Big Nelson started the season on fire, scoring in the next game too against Union Berlin and actually using his big head to get a brace. But just when we started getting comfy, the complacency kicked in, and Union scored in the 86th minute, and really annoyingly, they equalised in the 92nd. We then defeated Hanover and look ahead to our first Champions League fixture, which ideally we do need to do well in because of how bad our finances are. On deadline day, Bayern tried to rattle Eric Garcia's morale by putting in multiple bids, but he was happy to stay put. Lisandro Martinez scored his first goal in a 1-0 win against Hamburg to kick off September. We once again dropped 2 points because of a really late goal against Gladbach at home, however. But we ended the month with a good away win in which Krupi got the final goal in a very convincing 5-2 win. We also secured 3 points in the Champions League against Dinamo, but I'm intrigued about next month's fixtures as we welcome Inter Milan to the Bay Arena. Those 2 draws have really meant we've fallen behind Bayern Munich already this season, who have won all 6 of their matches so far. They actually sold nearly 3 times as much as money as what they brought in transfers. But the team is absolutely disgusting to look at with Declan Rice as their captain. We left it very late though against Inter Milan, and it definitely looked like when that first ball was played through to Krupi, it was offside, but we will definitely take it. We got 2 goals in the last 2 minutes of the match and gave the fans a lot to be pleased about. Our 3 forward-thinking players began to really enjoy themselves though, as both Viper and Krupi scored 1 each, both assisted by Wirtz, who had already scored 2 himself in this win against Bielefeld. Krupi then got himself a hat-trick in the next fixture too. And against Schalke, it was a very similar story, with all 3 players scoring goals in which the other 2 guys was getting involved in the build-up. This is becoming very beautiful to witness. And the sexy football was backed up by 6 wins throughout October, including the 2nd round win in the DFB Pokal. Trouble is, Bayern Munich still haven't dropped any points yet, and we play Leipzig next. And Max Ahrens, who's played a big part in our success lately, twisted his ankle in that Schalke match and will be out for a while. No sweat though, we only needed to stick 1 past Leipzig to get the 3 points. Doing the same against Hertha too, as Florian Wirtz bombs through and slots it home. Although, good job we did keep a clean sheet, because Nelson Viper also missed a penalty.
Bloody missed it!
Another hat-trick for Krupi in the league, and we cannot stop scoring goals right now. Well, other than the match against Benfica. Bayern went 12 wins from 12, and we play them after our next game against Mainz while we are still unbeaten ourselves. Oh, I just had to go jinx it, didn't I? We brushed ourselves off though and took to the field with confidence against Bayern Munich, and we even got ourselves ahead when Rafael Luiz made a great forward run. But it was the man with the armband who got the equaliser for the champions, putting it right in the bread bin. And then one of the smallest guys on the pitch headed home the Bayern winner, which destroyed all of our momentum and we drew and lost our last 2 fixtures. And then we somehow went to Dortmund and we won 1-0. The damage was done in the league though, and we found ourselves trailing in second by 13 points at the turn of the new year. A new year that Bayern Munich also celebrated their striker Sesko winning the Ballon d'Or and stopping Haaland from getting 6 in a row. Our debts wasn't getting any better, by the way, despite our good performances in the Champions League. What did catch my eye though was Bilbao was currently sitting top of La Liga with Real Madrid in 3rd. Our run of form after the winter break didn't get much better though, after Krupi put us 2-1 up against Cologne. Our former player Rykov scored an equaliser and we conceded a winner in the 90th minute. In the 3rd round of the DFB Pokal though, we travelled to Stuttgart and Krupi put us 1-0 up. They did, however, squeeze in an equaliser from the spot, but we still progressed through to the next round when Max Aaron's cross turned into the most hilarious own goal scored all season. Union Berlin are bottom of the league and we trounced them 6-0. Hannover are second from bottom and we beat them too. But in the Champions League we lost 1-0 at the San Siro to AC Milan. And despite taking the lead when Liverpool came to Leverkusen, they proved to be too strong for us and scored an equaliser from Gakpo and then scored a winner with one of the best new gens on the game. Behind the curtains, I nearly signed this lad at City instead of Vlahovic, by the way, when he was at West Ham. Even though we lost 3 times, we still qualified automatically in the Champions League phase. But Cologne have overtaken us in 2nd place and Bayern Munich still not have lost a game yet. Viper and Krupi continue to do what they do best in the Bundesliga and they scored loads of goals, helping us defeat Hamburg and Gladbach. But I began to get a bit worried when the goals started to dry up and it cost us points with important matches and Newcastle in the Champions League to come up. However, when the DFB Pokal quarter-final came around, I shouldn't have been worried too much because we played Cologne, who obviously are having a great season themselves, in 2nd place, but we completely took control of the match and really put ourselves in a great position at 3-0 before they did finally score, but even then, Krupi got a 2nd and put the tie to bed, which put us in the semi-final against Eintracht Frankfurt, with the other tie to be Bayern Munich versus Heidenheim from the 2nd division. March began with a big win and 4 goals for Lord Nelson, but then things started to go downhill. We were stuffed in the Champions League away leg to Newcastle 5-2 and were subsequently knocked out of the competition when we could only conjure up a draw in the 2nd leg at home. And it got worse in the League 2 and we just stopped scoring and lost 3 games on the bounce throughout March. It wasn't like we were missing many players from injury either, just Max Aarons who broke his toe. We were just playing crap. Bayern Munich won the Bundesliga already and still haven't lost a match, and despite us losing 3 games in a row, we still have the same points as 2nd place Schalke. We put ourselves 3-2 up against Wolfsburg in the following match on the 88th minute, and yet we still conceded in the 92nd and dropped another 2 points. And we went into our semi-final off a run of 2 more losses to Mainz and the champions Bayern Munich. But when we took to the field in Frankfurt for the semi-final, we found our form again and began scoring goals due to the mistakes the Frankfurt defence were making. But our confidence returned and we were able to score 2 more goals and put ourselves into the final of the DFB Pokal against Bayern. Hold on! What? Bayern Munich, at home, who still haven't lost in Germany all season, lost in this semi-final with their strongest team to a 2nd division side, 3-1. So in fact, we will play in the DFB Pokal final against Heidenheim instead. We played Frankfurt in the league right after our semi-final and we beat them 2-0, so we got our groove back. Nope, spoke too soon. However, there is a positive, and I swear this is not on purpose, but the league is so tight under Bayern, we've actually dropped into the Europa League spot. However, we do have Dortmund in our last game, and we could drop even further into EC2. But on the final day of the season, with Max Aarons back to full fitness, influencing the game, Krupi, Nelson, and Omar Sanchez all managed to get on the score sheet, and we took the 3 points with a great 4-1 win against Dortmund. And we currently finish in the Europa League spots. But our focus now shifts to the DFB Pokal final as another trophy we can add to our Glory Hunter cabinet. And we go with what I think is our strongest 11, which we were very lucky to play. Heidenheim line up with a 4-2-3-1 with our former player who was released last season, Iker Bravo, up front, who actually scored the 3rd goal against Bayern in the semi-final. The deadlock was broken after just 20 minutes when we broke down the left-hand side, cut it back to Florian Wirtz, who was perfectly placing it into the corner. I felt sorry for the Heidenheim keeper because the 2nd goal came from the rebound of an almighty shot that he saved, tapped in by Lord Nelson. However, with 5 minutes to go, they did try a valiant comeback and Iker Bravo did actually score against us a cheeky sausage. But we were still too strong and the ball was played back for substitute Mariba to tap in a third. And we are your DFB Pokal winners, my favourite trophy, and yes, you might say it was a very lucky win given the fact that we played this opposition, but you can only beat what's in front of you, and they knocked out the unbeaten champions Bayern Munich, let's not forget, to reach the final. And that's another one to cross off for the challenge. And that trophy actually puts us at the halfway point of achieving Glory Hunter as we go into season number 10 of the 20 seasons. But what is next? Will we stay here in Leverkusen? Probably yes, because once again the only job available is Chelsea. They finished in 8th place with Newcastle winning the Premier League for the first time, and Roma, our first club of this challenge, win the Serie A again. I'm mega proud.